What if gravity disappeared for one day? Have you ever wondered what would happen if gravity just stopped working for one single day? Imagine this. You take one step outside your house, and instead of walking, you start floating. Cars rise off the streets, rivers leave their beds, and even the moon begins to drift away. This isn't science fiction, it's what could really happen if Earth lost gravity for just 24 hours. Let's dive into the chaos. What is gravity? First, let's remind ourselves what gravity actually is. Gravity is the invisible force that pulls objects toward each other. It keeps your feet firmly on the ground, holds the oceans in place, keeps the moon circling Earth, and even keeps Earth orbiting the sun. Without gravity, there is no weight, no orbits, and eventually, no atmosphere. The first few minutes, panic would set in. People, cars, even entire buildings not anchored to the ground would begin floating. Trains and planes would lose all control. Water would no longer stay in rivers or lakes. Instead, it would form giant floating blobs, drifting upward. Even the air we breathe, the atmosphere, would begin leaking into space. Not instantly, but fast enough to make every breath more precious. Oceans in the sky. Now imagine the oceans. Billions of tons of water lifting away from the surface, rising into the sky in vast, terrifying waves. Fish, whales, and coral reefs would be stranded in midair, suspended inside enormous floating spheres of water. Within a few hours, some of that water would start falling back down as chaotic, deadly rainstorms. Earth would look like a giant snow globe, except filled with drifting oceans. Chaos in space, but the real chaos wouldn't be just here on Earth. Without gravity, the moon would no longer orbit our planet. It would simply drift away into space. Satellites, including the International Space Station, would lose their stable paths and spiral off into randomness. Even worse, Earth itself might slip out of orbit around the Sun. One day of lost gravity could be enough to throw our entire solar system into disarray. Life without gravity for people and animals, life would become almost impossible. Without being strapped down, we'd float helplessly into the sky. Birds couldn't fly, they rely on gravity to push air beneath their wings. Plants would wither as the atmosphere thins and soil can't hold water. Slowly, the very systems that keep life alive would start to collapse. When gravity comes back, but then, after 24 hours, gravity suddenly returns. And that's when the true destruction begins. Everything that floated, cars, people, planes, debris, comes crashing back to the ground. Entire oceans, which spent a day hovering above Earth, come roaring down in unimaginable floods. Whole continents could be drowned. The scale of destruction would make even the biggest natural disasters in history look tiny in comparison. And yet, there's one strange silver lining. For a few hours, humanity would finally know what it feels like to truly fly. Not in an airplane, not in a rocket, but with our own bodies, drifting freely through the air. For just one day, Earth would become a planet of astronauts. But that dream of freedom would come at a terrible cost. So here's the question for you. If gravity disappeared for one day, would you risk going outside to float among the stars, or would you stay strapped safely to the ground, waiting for gravity to return? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit like, thumbs up, subscribe, pushpin checkmark, and ring the bell for more mind-bending what if explorations bellhop bell. Until next time, stay grounded.